Yo, welcome to No Life Digital. Today, we did it. Well, we didn't do it. Panasonic did it. They finally did it. They finally released the camera that we've all been waiting for. They were the first to do it, and now it's Sony's turn to answer. But Panasonic really hit the ball out of the fucking park with this new camera, the S1 and the S1R. It's just like I need this camera like right now. Right now. The specs on it are insane. We don't really know what anything looks like. We don't know how autofocus is, which is a very that's the one thing that I want to keep an eye on, how the autofocus is on this camera. But if you don't know what I'm talking about, let's bring up the DP review article on it. Give me 1 second here. Here we are. Panasonic S1 and S1R. Oh man, I'm so pumped. So Panasonic has announced it's developing two full-frame mirrorless cameras, the 47 megapixel S1R and the 24 megapixel S1. So sort of like the A series cameras, or the Sony A series cameras. They're doing like that R version where the A7R is the more photo focus camera with higher megapixels, and the regular version, the A7 III, is more just kind of like an all-around good camera. Less megapixels means you're going to get less sort of it's just less processing power for video, so it's a little bit better for video. You can get a little bit higher bit rates. But as we move on and we continue to read, both will be built around Leica's L mount, allowing their use with existing Leica lenses, as well as lenses promised by both Panasonic and Sigma. So this is the big news, and it's that Panasonic is actually teaming up with Leica and Sigma to build this full-frame mirrorless camera, which is awesome. So you're going to get the Leica lens mount, where you can throw your Leica lenses on there. You're going to get the Panasonic sort of body and the Panasonic technical specifications, and you're going to get Sigma's expertise in lens development for further lens support down the line. You know, you can adapt to the Sigma lenses, you can adapt to the Leica lenses, but you're going to get those Panasonic just like balls to the walls features, like 4K 60 frames per second in video. So as you know, I'm more interested in the video specifications. I have an A7 R3 as well as an A7S2. I use my R3 as my photo camera. It's an insanely gorgeous camera. I have no real reason to switch from that as a photo camera, but I am looking to upgrade my video camera. I do want a better video camera. 4K 60 is big for me. I won't shoot much in 4K 60, but I do want the option. I'm looking for one that just has a flip out screen. That's really all I need from my A7 R3 is a flip out screen, so I can shoot video without having to adapt a big monitor on it. It's just a lot more portable. Excuse me. Have a little bit of a cold, but let's continue with the specs. We've been shown fairly advanced looking but non-functional prototype cameras, and have been able to squeeze a few details from Panasonic, so it's sounding like this camera is not going to be released until spring 2019. That's okay, I can wait. Specs are scarce, but Panasonic says both cameras will be weather sealed and will feature high resolution electronic viewfinders. Both feature top plate settings, LCDs, and feature both an XQD and an SD card slot. So you're going to get two of those. They include dual axle. This is not right. It's a tri-axis tilting rear LCD panel, which basically means it can tilt this way, it can tilt this way, and it can flip out, which is awesome. And then here we are. Alongside the two cameras, Panasonic has announced it will introduce three lenses: a 50 1.4, a 24 to 105 zoom, and a 70 to 200 2.8 zoom. It also says it will introduce more than 10 lenses before the end of 2020. This is kind of like a long-term, you're not going to get everything here at once. The cameras come as the latest fruit of a long-running collaboration between Panasonic and Leica, and are accompanied by the news that Sigma will join the club and make L-mount lenses, as well as making lenses under its own name. Sigma acts as OEM for other brands, so has a history of close collaborations, blah, blah, blah. So we're also going to get IBIS, including dual IS, the combination of in-body and in-lens stabilization, to provide a great level of correction that either could provide alone. And while Panasonic says it isn't especially focusing on video shooters, both will be able to shoot 4K 60p. video, which is awesome. Both cameras will use Panasonic's depth from defocus system for autofocus. This takes information about each lens's out of focus characteristics to help the camera assess the distance to the subject to support its contrast detection AF system. Perhaps tellingly, this description closely matches the way Leica discusses the autofocus in its SL, the Leica SL, which is a highly contested camera, to be honest. So that's the biggest thing that I'm interested in. If it has shit autofocus, sort of like how the GH5 and the GH4 have shit autofocus, then I'm just gonna have to wait for the Sony camera. I'm just hoping the Sony camera, the A7S III, features a flip out screen. If it doesn't, then this makes this camera very interesting. It says it's not focusing too much on video shooters, which makes me wonder, are they coming out with a separate video camera? And these are just the sort of photo cameras, the R being the, like just how Sony does it, where the R is more the photocentric high resolution camera. The 3 is more like that all around consumer entry camera, but then the S comes out and that's the low light video camera. Are they going to be releasing an S version? It would be pretty interesting if they actually copied Sony's exact sort of naming scheme as well with that. But this is a very interesting development coming out of the Panasonic crowd. Just the collaborations with Leica. So you're going to get that Leica glass. You're going to get that, just that Leica brand. Like you're going to get that Leica sort of close collaboration, as well as Sigma. Sigma has been doing just amazing work in the last 2-3 years. And to see them teaming up with Panasonic is just, it's awesome. I would like to see that with Sony. I'm a huge Sony shooter these days. Just because they just, you know, pump you out with tons of specs, and, you know, there's really no thought afterwards, where, you know, the Canon and Nikon are really the only ones lacking. You know, the new mirrorless Nikons look cool, but they don't feature everything that we want. And of course, the same goes for Canon's EOS, the new EOS R mirrorless full frame, where they kind of dropped the ball. It gave you the 4K, but it gives you almost a 2x crop, and, you know, there's a bunch of other issues with the Canon EOS R. But that's still a compelling camera to me, the EOS R, mainly because it's a Canon. So it's going to feel great. It's going to have an amazing color science on it. The pictures on it are going to be awesome. It has a flip out screen. You know, it's just a really jam-packed camera. But in today's standards, it just doesn't have the 4K full frame, you know, specs, which is, you know, I shoot in 4K. Right now, I'm shooting on a webcam, but in terms of the productions that I use cameras on, 4K it's kind of the way to go nowadays. But I don't know, it's interesting. More cameras, I'm pumped. This is awesome. Happy that Panasonic was able to release such a you know, shake up of a camera. This is really gonna fuck around with Canon and Nikon sales, at least on their mirrorless. And, you know, obviously there's going to be Canon people and Nikon people that will never leave just because they're so heavily invested in the glass. But then again, it's complete different glass. You know, the mirrorless, they use different lenses. So it's interesting. It's interesting. All right. Well, hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, please leave it a like, and also subscribe if you wanted to see more videos like this. And don't forget to follow @NoLifeDigital on Twitter. Catch y'all later. Peace.